Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Core Conversations for a Freestyle Thursday. Iron sharpens iron. Everyone's good today. Thank you for jumping in. What? Online? Hi, Shanti. He's a vacation here. How's it going? Finished watching yesterday? So, how are you, sir? I'm trying to live workouts. Good morning, Sal. West Coast. My West Coast friend probably still in bed. It's like 7 there. Going on this weekend. So, Shanti, I don't know if you are free and want to join me on screen, but I'd love to hear how your week's going and what you've been taking away from these conversations. You tuned into some rich conversations over the last 2 weeks, diving in, I don't know, from Kathy Ross Nash to John Gary to Nora Myers, and then Jamie Isaac yesterday. Just some awesome people. And it's funny, like I think that you catch that A, the Canadiana there, how Nora was right in the mix. We have Kathy Ross Nash, Nora, John, and Jamie, and I esteem all of them as experts in their respective areas in such a high way. So isn't it funny how we wouldn't put ourselves in certain conversations, but reality is that we deserve to be there. Yeah, so that being said, Marcel, yes. Is everyone sleeping there? Side note, I feel like my wife has these fine hairs, and I can feel a hair on me somewhere. Like from like last night. That's like, anyway. Cool, if you could do that, that'd be great. Peter, where are you located? Thanks for joining. I see your name pop in the chat a few times. I appreciate that. Thank you for joining us. My coffee, that's what I forgot. Tea it is. So a double shout out for my wife for the Core Conversations mug. How cool is that, eh? Just doing a quick thing here. Cool. All right. Yesterday we had Jamie Isaac on, and we had this conversation that was very inspiring in many ways. I feel like it. Hi, Blossom. How are you? It's a freestyle. Blossom, if you want to join me on screen, you're more than welcome to. Come and send a quick shout out. Talk about what you got going on. Anyway, so Jamie Isaac was on. Okay, here. You'll have to hear my story afterwards. So let me bring on Shanti here. Hello.
Hello. We kind of meet, nearly.
Yes.
Can you
Thank
hear me
you
okay?
so much. Yeah, actually I can. So, Shanti, where are you again?
It's in Saint-Tropez.
Now, everyone, I know she's like on vacation. I believe this.
France?
Yeah, south of France, Saint-Tropez.
So,
And it's
yes.
beautiful, but I don't want to disturb other guests in the hotel, so I'm trying to find a quiet space.
Okay. No. What time is it there? It's mid-afternoon, right?
Yeah, 4 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah.
4
You
p.m.
learn these
Yeah.
things doing these Instagrams lives long enough. Time zones in your head.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying all the conversations. I at home when I'm usually on my way into work when you're on your live calls, so I get a little bit of it and then I miss most of it and I have to listen to it later. And of course, I never find the time to listen to anything properly. So
Right.
I've got a week to myself, just here on my own, and I'm just enjoying myself and relaxing and recharging. And I've taken advantage of being able to listen to everything.
That is so life-giving. I don't know for you in the chat, but for me, that's like there's this breath of fresh air. Like that is like mission accomplished when someone can soak it in and just recharge, and then it's an honor to be part of someone's recharging process, right? Like,
I'm really
uh,
enjoying it. I think you are giving something fantastic to the whole community of the Pilates teachers and probably people who are just enjoy Pilates in general
oh, absolutely. No, I appreciate that. Um, where are you located originally? Like, where's your studio or the space you work
in
out of?
London.
Oh, in
I
London.
work in
Okay,
London. Yeah, yeah. So,
nice.
yeah, so I'm just here for a week. I've taken a week on my own. My husband was very kind and allowed me to just escape. We've been through a lot of stuff in the last few years, like everybody else with COVID, and
Yes.
my father died sadly a couple of years ago, not
Oh,
related to
man.
COVID, but we're going through all the grieving process and the probate, and just everything has been hard.
Hmm.
And I just thought I've got to the point where I need to take time to be alone and just
Yes.
think.
Yes. Do
So I've
you
been doing Pilates
journal?
every morning. No, I don't. But
Okay.
um, I get up in the morning and I go into my studio. My studio is a home studio at the end of my garden, which was built
Okay.
just for me. It wasn't built to teach clients.
Hmm.
But after I left the place that I had been working, because my in-laws, they're aged and both have dementia. So it was getting harder and harder to look after them. So I left one of the studios I was working at, and then I decided I missed teaching. So I started using my own home studio to teach clients. And
Yes.
it developed into my own business, which was not the intention, but an unexpected bonus.
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, can you just talk a little bit more about your break and just being able to just like get away from a moment and unplug? I think that that's good that you did that because a lot of us in in the room and those who in the Pilates space, we don't take that time. And part of it is because we're running our own business, so you eat what you kill, so you can't always afford to take time off. And I've said this in the past too, that like I actually like working. So sometimes it's tough to pull yourself away because you don't feel like you're getting to a place of burnout because you can just keep
I
finding that
agree.
energy from the people that you're working with.
Yeah, exactly. And I heard you saying that the other day, actually, and I completely understand that because I love what I do. And even if I don't feel like I want to do anything today, once I've been with a client and they get to the end of their session and you can feel how their energy has changed and how good they feel at the end of it, it just invigorates you. So it's almost like being a vampire. You live off what they get as well. So it's it's
Ye-
stimulating.
Right.
Yeah. So, but
Yeah,
what
the
happened to me
vampire
here
analogy
was
is actually pretty accurate.
yeah. But what happened here was it wasn't planned. My holiday wasn't planned. It was like being in a pressure cooker, and my husband's dealing with a lot with his in-laws, with his parents, sorry, not his in-laws, with his parents, and it was like being in a pressure cooker because he's very stressed with the whole situation that he's trying to deal with. He hasn't got any siblings to help him, and I just got to the point one day where I said, I can't take any more of this from any direction. So I just said,
Mhm.
I need to escape. And I didn't actually want to come to the south of France because we have friends around here, and I really wanted time on my own. But he
Yes,
said,
solitude.
they'll understand. So, and I think my friends here are very good. In fact, one of them I just saw has joined. And space. And I need space to breathe and to cry and to think and remember my lovely daddy and get into my own body. So, in fact, I had stress eczema before I came, and it's completely disappeared in 4 days.
Right. Yeah.
So I woke up one day and I said to Nick,
Yes.
my husband, to breathe, to think, and reflect. And he said,
Oh, sorry.
do it.
Can you repeat that?
So
It
I
it
did.
it, it
And
lagged
here
a
I
little
am.
bit. Can you? Yeah. So Shasha, it
I
lagged a
said
little bit. Can
I
you
needed
repeat what you
time
said
to
to him?
breathe. I just said to him,
Hmm.
I need some time
Yeah.
to breathe, to think, to reflect. And he just said, do it.
Yes. Good stuff.
So here I
Brownie
am.
points for a good
Yeah.
husband. There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. But
Um,
then when he needs his break, I'll be looking after his parents.
right. Yeah. So it's a wise
Yeah.
investment, right?
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
I'm always challenged by that. So I don't want to keep you, Shanti, because I know that like it's like your hotel and stuff like that. But just that thought of how do we be proactive and take our break before we're crawling into our rest time.
Yeah.
For us out there, that's the thing I always think about too. Is like I'm guilty of that too. Like before I need to take 3 days of my vacation to recover from my work, how do I stage that properly?
For me, I just got to the point where I was starting to feeling very sad, and I thought, life is what you make it, and I can do anything I want. I can be anything I want. I have to decide. So I decided, what do I want? And I thought,
Mm,
okay, I have to make it happen. No one else can make it happen for me. I have to do it. So I did. And we all have that power. We all have, I mean,
yes.
no matter what situation we are in financially or anything else, we all have the power to take control and decide, I'm going to take whatever step.
Yes.
But you have the power to decide for yourself.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. No, that's well said. We forget that we don't exercise that power. We make excuses for ourselves. We look at we feel like I don't want to say it in a bad way, but we feel like we're more important than we are. Like the world will go on without
Yeah,
us doing certain things, but we don't believe that
actually,
in the
yeah,
moment.
absolutely, absolutely. And I always used to say, my husband's retired now, but I always used to say that to him when he was working 24 hours a day and, cancelling holidays at the last minute. I'd always go without him if he cancelled. And I'd just
Hmm.
say, they're going to continue whether you're here or not. So, you have a heart attack and drop tomorrow, they're going to go on.
Yep.
So we have to make our own decisions and take responsibility for ourselves.
Right. It sounds like a pleasant conversation. Yes.
It's just
Correct.
about taking self-responsibility and
Yeah.
not blaming everybody else and every situation for, I can't do it because.
Mhm. Right. Requisite Pilates is like, yep. Um, and Christina there too. Hi. Yeah, no, that's true. It's so funny. This is kind of a different vein than where I was going with today's conversation, Shanti, where I was talking about iron sharpens iron and just like piggybacking off of my conversation with Jamie yesterday. So did you catch
Yeah,
that or was it lagging?
I did. I
Okay.
had to I had to bail out because the sound was so bad, but actually I caught up with most of it today.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
it was very good.
yeah, it was good. And I think that even though I was talking like iron sharpens iron in terms of that inspiration to move and that inspiration to see exercise differently and all those different things, what you're saying is that inspiration, that iron sharpens iron to rest. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I like for
yeah,
people to walk away from this conversation like, man, I need to like get back to scheduling a vacation or an overnight or booking some time, to someone to watch a kid so I can reconnect with my spouse or whatever it is, whatever that rest piece looks like for
yeah,
you is like that's the challenge of this more so than the challenge to exercise, the challenge to rest.
yeah, yeah, Yeah. I mean, and the other thing is, I just decided that as well as resting and not think about what limitations any clients may have. I teach mat and I teach studio. So when I'm teaching mat,
Mm.
I always consider the limitations of the clients and I restrict my own movement to within them because I do
Oh,
half of it
right.
alongside them. Yeah.
Hmm. So now it's time just for you. Like you're,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So
fantastic. No, that's good stuff. Just thank you to all these comments here. Good stuff indeed. Just that sense of just pulling away to make that time. Show of hands, who, if you have taken a vacation recently, have you decided to just unplug from your Pilates work of recently? Just curious to see who is like that. I know that I haven't recently, and my body's feeling like it needs that soon. Um, but we'll see.
just do it.
Mhm. Well, yeah, I mean, like my Pilates work is going good, but it's a campaign stuff that like I'm in this zone of like,
Oh,
okay,
yes.
I
Yeah, of
need
course.
then I want to be just undivided focus for 5 months, then I can you know slow down
And
and
when is all
reset.
that
But
happening?
October,
Right. Okay.
right? So that's like a long way out. Like I think I need to press the pause button
You'll be
somewhere
here
in the middle
before
of
you
that.
know it.
That's the whole thing, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. It'll
yeah,
be over before you know it.
yeah. But it's good. So good challenges. Requisite Pilates is saying, nope, but I do move clients around when I need to rest, and they always understand. That's actually, and thank you for bringing that part up too. That is another real key part is having that communication open with your clients where you
Yeah.
can say that. They
Yeah,
respect when I
absolutely.
do that as well, right? Like
Yeah.
your
Yeah,
clients,
they do.
yeah.
In fact,
It-
I talk to because I teach online classes as well as a studio and in the gym. And I spoke to them and I said, well, look, when I'm online, I can teach from anywhere in the world about us. So they were really generous. And I said, okay, private health club. Then my studio, they're just giving me a week off.
yeah, that's so sweet.
Yeah, and it's their generosity as well, isn't it? It's your clients, but it's up to you to develop that good relationship. And actually, I
Mhm.
remember you asking somebody in one of the interviews about which of the clients they like and which of the clients do they get rid of clients. And
Yes.
I think that's part of it. You develop a relationship with the clients and the ones that you have and the other ones you can kind of cull.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, they do drop off and they continue, and those are fun conversations sometimes, right? Or just to see how it's gonna play out, because
Yeah,
sometimes like the people that you think you have no rapport with continue,
yeah,
right? And others
absolutely.
just and others they kind of just fade away, and then it's over, and then you don't try and retrieve it because it wasn't really working anyway.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so it's
You're
like,
going to door chasing if someone is always making an excuse why they can't make it on their
yep,
time.
yep,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And the other thing that I thought was really interesting question, I can't remember who you asked, but it was somebody that you saw last week. And I was thinking, actually, quite often, the ones that you think you want to go for are not necessarily the ones that you end up with because,
Yes,
you think you might want to do one type of
that
client
was.
and, yeah, who was that?
Yeah, that was, oh, so that was, I don't know if she's in the chat now, but Pilates Carrie, I asked her like,
Right.
who's your ideal client? She goes, well, the ones that
That's right.
find me are.
Yeah,
And that phraseology of like, who finds you, is something that I like to ask. And even for those in the chat now, you may think that you're going to work with, um, at-home moms or people with a certain condition, and then you find that all these baseball players start coming in, then you realize that
yeah.
these baseball players have found me, so I guess I'm the expert working with youth baseball now, right? Like that.
Yeah, and that happens to me so much that I think I want something and I get something else. And I
Mm.
just think, okay, I'll just go with it. I'll see what happens. But
Yeah, absolutely. So who has that been for you? Like what demographic has come in, and what demographic did you think was going to come in?
I really liked the idea of working with younger, stronger, athletic type people. And I got a lot of older people who had aches and pains and problems. But
Yeah.
the other thing is, I've always enjoyed that. I wanted to work with younger athletic people, but with injuries because I was always interested in rehabilitation.
Okay.
So, but it's turned out to be the older demographic that I get. But that's also probably because I'm getting older as well, so they feel comfortable with me. And
Right.
because I'm older, they feel more comfortable looking at somebody, like me, rather than a 30-year-old who's got an amazing body, and
Right. And the figure's not
they
going to
feel
understand their
intimidated
body.
by it. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
And the funny thing is too, having worked with athletes, I'm sure those of you who have worked with athletes in the past know too, they complain like older people most of the times anyway. So you're probably doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, and I've done, all of it, athletes
Mhm.
and polo riders and all sorts of people. So,
Oh
um,
yeah, that would be
yeah,
interesting. That
yeah, the
would be
polo,
really
I think
interesting.
it is because they tend to be quite tall,
Yes,
and there are
it's a
spinal
unilateral
conditions,
movement,
unilateral and spinal conditions right from cervical down to
right?
lumbar and thoracic, lumbar and pelvis, because
Pelvic, yeah.
of the leaning forward, that
Yes,
leaning
yeah.
forward. And also they've got
Interesting.
very long spines, and quite often you'll come across people with extra vertebra because they're so tall. So yeah,
Really
yeah. So yeah, that was something that the number of
fascinating.
vertebra was actually interesting. It came up with a course I did with Mount Sinai Hospital with now the Pilates studio was based in New York.
Hmm.
I can't remember the name of the studio. I should shout out to them because they were brilliant. They've run some really good the FAMI courses,
Okay.
functional anatomy and movement, and it's run by, I can't remember the name of they're based in Chelsea in New York,
Okay. My pen.
and the course is FAMI, FAMI, and they run them through their studio and in conjunction with Mount Sinai Hospital, and it's really
Wow.
fascinating.
Well, yeah, when I had Francesca on here and she works with Pilates and also with riders and with horses and stuff, she was talking to just the nuances of working with people who ride and just how there's this combination of them having conditions that result from the way the horse moves and also them giving conditions to the horse because of the way that they move, right? So
Yeah,
there's the spinal articulation and just the way that and it's what comes first, the rider or the horse, in terms of where the problem originates, and it's not always easy to tell where it comes from,
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
right?
fascinating.
So
Yeah,
it is fascinating because like, and then if you tie into that like polo, where now we have a sport and just the dynamics of changing direction and all the different things, it's like, well, that just makes it a whole new interesting thing for me.
yeah. And as soon as they go off season and they're going off skiing or something else, and they get a skiing injury, you got something else added into the mix, which has happened a couple
Yeah,
of times. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah. I think when you understand movement and when you have a passion for movement, those things become fascinating, right? So whatever kind
yeah.
of athlete or whatever, like you could just look at it from a movement perspective purely, and then be inquisitive enough to affect change. So yeah. All right, Shanti, I'm not going to keep you because I know like that you're like in the middle of a hotel and all those different things. But thank you so much for
Yeah,
jumping
sorry,
on.
people coming by. I found a little place that I thought was going to be quiet, but a few people have walked through since, so I'm sorry about the noise in the background.
No,
And
it's
maybe
okay.
I'll
The
catch
noise
up
in the
with you.
background doesn't bother me. There's a whole gym happening in the background on my side.
Okay, well, maybe I'll catch up another time.
Yes, love to have you on. Let's get that booked in. Cool. Okay, yeah. So you just press the yeah. There you go. And press X. Hi, Bianca. What's going on? Ivy, thanks for jumping in. Custom cores. What's going on? Christina and Fifth Vision. Things are good. Bianca, if you'd like to join me, and Christina, I'd love to see what's going on with you ladies. Iron sharpens iron. Very cool conversation with Jamie yesterday about about movement and how it really does inspire when it's done from that pure place. And I think how can I say this? His energy sounds so flighty. His intentions are so pure in terms of movement and knowing that movements can make a difference in people's lives. The way he puts it out there is just so powerful and so pure in its intent. So I just really am inspired by that. Reading Bianca's comment here. No, all good. No worries. That's the beauty of these core conversation freestyles. That if you want to jump in, you can. You don't have to. If you don't want to, if you can. So Bianca say, all good, my friend. Can't right now. Sorry, just listening. And Matters of Movement, Christina, you're also welcome to jump on, or anybody, please. If you just want to just jump in, just hit that request to join and join us on the screen. But, okay. Here comes Christina. I think. Hey, it works.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. I think I need to wipe my camera. I look
I was just
really,
gonna say,
I look so.
you have like a filter on. Nice.
Oh, there we go. I don't know if that's better though.
That's not fair. No, it's much better.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Yes. That was so subtle. That was like so low key.
Anyways, thanks for having me on. Hello.
You're welcome. That was like your inside voice almost, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be on the replay. What's going on?
Oh, not much. You know what? I've been taking a bit of a break from social media. And yeah, so and that's been really good for me, you know, mentally, just to detach a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah.
Business wise, like was it like detaching from doing like business online stuff too, or just like detached from the social media component of it?
So I haven't been posting on my business site, on my business account for a little while, but I'm still operating behind the scenes, still running my online studio and serving my people and interacting. I'm interacting online and on social media with people, but I'm not doing a whole lot of content creation right now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Why is that? Just like summer and just like different pulls sort of thing, or just like just what you need right now?
Yeah, I think it's like I try not to think about it too much, but I think it's what I need right now, and I'm also going to be meeting with a business coach soon to be talking about my business as a whole and looking at kind of the direction that I want to go in. And so I think being quiet right now is a good place to be, and then I can come in with a whole new kind of clean step forward, you know? Yeah.
Good strategy, businesswoman.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm also planting my garden, so that's really
that's the other part. Yes, I'd be rather driving my car right now.
Yeah. I did my gardening. I put together a little gardening program for people, and so was really fun for me. And so I've been kind of practicing my own gardening recommendations while I'm gardening, which is great. Okay. So it's kind of putting it in practice as I'm doing my own stuff.
Yeah, it's like research and development.
Yeah, exactly. Like, is this actually helpful?
Yes. That's always fun. Like you always use yourself as the subject first, right? And it keeps you on point. So
yeah. And here's the thing though, right? Everybody's bodies are different, and what helps me might not necessarily help someone else. What helps someone else doesn't necessarily help me, right? So it has to be really broad and and inclusive and accessible.
For sure. Yeah, that's a great way, and that's why I love training people like for free. Like, I mean, that's almost how they pay. Is that okay? We're doing this,
Yeah.
and it might not be exactly what you need. I'm just going to throw this stuff out there, and if it works for you, great, and then we can run with it. But if it doesn't, that also helps me. So because
Exactly.
this is free right now, you might not like everything that's coming at you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That's how you're
Exactly.
paying.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And having that dialogue with people, at least, you know, at least coming at it from that perspective with the dialogue, being like, yeah, like, let's talk this out, you know, give me information, tell me how this is feeling, you know, and obviously understanding from where they come from, right? Their perspective,
for
their life
sure.
experiences, their stressors, their all the things that they are coming to the table with,
Yep.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not trying to hurt anyone when I do that to everybody. Like that's just like more an attitude thing, I think, more than anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And how are you doing? I haven't been able to watch you for a little while or watch your little show. How are you doing? What's going on?
Um, I'm good. I have to
Hmm.
say I am beyond tired.
Yeah.
The last 2 days, and this was legit. This is just a happenstance thing. I was telling Jamie this yesterday. I was like, you have to carry this for me because we had a plumber come to our house last night, 2 nights ago, and there's like something that's happening in the area. So, but it's backflowing into our house, into our townhouse. So we had a plumber come like really late. Said he was gonna come at one time. He showed up like 3 hours late because he's on call and just it got crazy, and then ran out of parts and had to go back out and then come back to our house around midnight to finish up, and then still didn't get it finished, but left our house at like 1:45. So
Wow.
yeah, I basically grabbed the blanket, laid on the floor, set an hour, like a 2 hour nap, and then came back to work. So
Oh no.
I'm still slept a little bit better last night, but my body's still recovering from that. So that's why I feel
Yeah.
like slightly foggy. So life is good. I'm just
Yeah.
like running on like newborn sleep right now.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I'm so over these 2 hour and 45 minute nights.
Yeah. Oh
Like,
yeah. Way over it.
way over it. 16 years over it. Thank you.
Yes.
So yeah. So anyway, so I'm not gonna complain.
Yeah.
You know, in everything else, like this is good. But it's just funny how that can like force
Yeah.
you to have to be that much more intentional about everything.
Well, yeah. And I think, like, I always think I remember those days really clearly. My son's only 4, so those days still feel like they
They're
were
still the wound's
yesterday.
still fresh. Yes.
Yeah. But it's always interesting to me, you know, bringing it back to movement on those days where you're like, okay, how am I going to include movement in my day? Like, do I jump in and like go for it? Or do I like, you know, tenderly get into things and be gentle with my body? And,
Mm.
you know, I always found those days when I was like so desperately tired that it was always interesting to move, right? And to
Yep.
play around with your body and be like, well, what can my body do right now? You know,
Mm-hmm.
what is comfortable? What's going to make me feel better?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny you say what will make me feel better. And the first thing that I looked at for myself is like, what is my default?
Mm.
Like, so I had this time in the morning where, of course, too, like I get there for 5:15, and then my first client cancels.
Ah, nice.
Totally forgot I had to. So like, there's a part of me that's like jubilant that I don't have to be on just yet, and there's another part that's like, oh, I could have totally slept for another hour, but
Right.
I'm here. So, but what is not just what makes me feel good, but what is my default? So I was like, I went and actually lifted weights. I didn't come in the studio and just do some gentle movement. I was like, I'm just going to throw down a workout. That's what makes me feel good. That sense of just picking something up that's heavy and put it back down, like that endorphin push. And that, like,
Yeah.
the numbers are lame. The workout wasn't fantastic, but mentally there was a sense of I just got a chance to move, and that's what makes my body feel good.
Right.
To lift heavy. And then came back to the plies and did some movement stuff later. But like, it's almost like I needed to push up there to kind of come down instead of just easing into the day, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and everyone's different, but like, I like that. Just, hey, what makes you feel good? And it's not necessarily that it's going to be a gentle movement that makes you feel good. It's going to be that mindset of achieving and challenge and whatever that my body felt like it needed. Right. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's always interesting too, you know, that my daughter's going through a thing right now, and my daughter just generally as like a human being carries the weight of the world on her shoulders. So she's always like super afraid to like take steps and like to do things and to, you know, meet challenges head on and like do it and face them, you know? So they're doing a spelling bee at school and she fell apart into tears over the weekend. She's like, I can't do this. And I'm like, you can, you know, like you can.
Yeah.
So I always think, hi, Kate. Kate's my friend. How are you?
Hey, Kate.
Anyway, so I always find that, you know, when you're super fatigued, you know, your instinct might be like, oh, well, why don't I just keep it slow, go easy, you know, but it might be okay to just like dive in and do a nice big, you know, delicious workout, you know, and get all super sweaty and like know that you accomplished something, you know.
Right. Yes. Before you burn out in 3 hours.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Just capitalize on the fumes that are left in the tank right now, right? Like, yeah. No, that's exactly it. And I think that that's it's good that we're having this conversation because everyone's at different points in their energy levels through the day and through the course of the week and stuff, right? And the course of the month and yeah. So I appreciate you asking how I'm doing. That's yeah.
And well, what's going on? What's going on with your with the campaign? What's happening with that?
It's in full swing. It really is in full swing now. So the provincial election, we're in Canada, everybody. The provincial election just finished June 2nd. So then now everyone has their eyes starting to look towards a municipal election. That's the next piece. That's not till October, so there's still some time. But like now I'm out. I'm doing a bit of campaigning, canvassing. I've always been building relationships, and it's interesting, Christina. Like I feel like this gives me such energy, just like going out and meeting people, and it's like the real life, like touching people version of these core conversations.
Yeah.
Right. So you know, when I'm talking campaign stuff, I'm saying I'm kind of parlaying the core conversations piece into this campaign, but then on the canvassing side, I'm like, well, I'm just doing the exact same thing. Like I'm having some really cool conversations with people and building relationships, being in certain places. Anything that we preach here, I'm just like, it's a practical application out there on the street. So I'm enjoying it. I really am enjoying it.
Good. And are you finding that the in-person is really kind of like energizing you in a different way than the online version does?
It's honestly, I'd have to say they feel, when they're really good, they feel the same.
Okay. Yeah.
Like yesterday talking with Jamie Isaac, I haven't talked to him in a long time, but we've had these exchanges where like he'll put a post up and I'll do something after and he'll repost some of my stuff. Yeah. So by the time I talked to him yesterday, it was like talking to a pen pal. Like we were just like, we're catching up, and then we're landing at certain philosophies on certain things, and it's just this good feeling. Yeah. And people in the chat were like, this is so inspirational. You guys are just so awesome and blah, blah, blah. And just to hear, like, just to be able to have that conversation, it felt rich. It felt like if I was to bump into him on the street, that would have been those conversations with someone, you know, on a street corner where like an hour and a half later, you're still talking, catching up.
Yeah.
And this here too, right? Like you and I just talking, it's just like this, you almost forget that there's people watching us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So when those moments happen, like virtually, that's exactly how it feels when I'm having a conversation, like in a hallway of an apartment building yesterday. And the lady talks about, you know, living here for 30 years and raising your daughter and just like giving her core advice. And now she's seeing in, you know, and I'm like, yes, yeah. Like I'm writing stuff down. Like, you know, she says something, I'm like, I need to use it. That's part of my campaign. That was brilliant.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's amazing. I feel like lately I've been living life, you know, and I feel like with COVID, it's been, you know, it's been a challenge, you know, seeing people face to face and, you know, all these barriers and obstacles and all of that. And lately I've been doing more like face to face, and I feel like it's been fueling me in a different way that feels really good to me. And I've been, and I think that's part of the reason too why I've been a little bit off of social media, because I was just,
You're too busy with your real life?
Yeah, like I feel like living this life and seeing people and making contacts and building relationships in person has been really nice for me. Something I didn't realize I needed as much of.
Yeah. What element of it do you feel has been missing? Just like the human touch part, the hug, the like the eye contact, the you know what I mean? Like what piece of it is missing?
I think like being in different places, right? Because I mean, we're
Yeah.
always like, having these meetings either from my office at work or from home, and always like the same spot. And then, I've had some people come back to Canada because I have a lot of friends that live away, and so they're coming back. This is the year of everybody coming back, which is really fun. So I'm not going anywhere, just receiving.
Right.
But yeah, like just being in other people's homes, or seeing other things, and just having a change of scenery, and just being able to hug people. I think all of it. I don't think there's any one piece that has felt more important than the other. I think it's all just important. Yeah.
Sure. That's good.
And I don't know why. I think during like COVID and during these times, this like whole big online thing, it really did help me. Like it really did help me, and it served me during the time. Right. But now I'm like, oh yeah, like there is life outside. There is something else that, we can tap into.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And that's cool. I appreciate that. I feel like I'm not ready to let this go though, for some reason.
No, oh no, I'm not ready. No, I'm not ready. I think it's just now I feel a little bit more like diversified.
Yes.
And it's a bit more of a complete package.
Sure. Yeah. Can I throw a concept at you from yesterday's conversation?
Yeah.
Because I was going to talk about it with when you came offline, but I mean, I like bouncing off people, and this is what I like about the whole interaction thing.
Yeah.
Yesterday when Jamie was talking, his vision for his retreat center is basically like world peace, one movement at a time. And as we were talking about that world peace component, he broke it down. You kind of distill it down to movement and how it impacts people, and when they're happy, they are happier with their families and their immediate community, and that it kind of just like butterfly effects and ripples out, right?
Yeah.
So we talked about that, unpacked it, and then he said like, it's not, I don't want to apologize for my vision because of blah 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 blah, and I was like, how often do we apologize for our vision?
Like we shouldn't apologize for your vision. Like it's
right. And it doesn't, I mean, it sounds basic. You're like, you don't apologize for your vision. But when we explain our vision and then we explain it away, or we simplify it, and we don't keep it as big and bold and audacious as it actually is, that's when we're apologizing for our vision.
Yeah. And oh my God, I feel like I just got like tingles. So I think like a lot of times people have these visions, right? And they have these dreams, and they're so big and like audacious, that like you almost need to package them in something that's a little bit more accessible for people to understand and to digest.
More palatable, right? Just a bite-sized piece.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I feel like, but maybe it isn't a matter of apologizing, but a matter of just trying to give it out in spoonfuls.
Right. Now, I agree with that. I do agree with that. But when you're giving out in spoonfuls, am I giving it out because I want them to buy into it, or am I giving it out because I don't want them to shoot it down?
Probably both. It's so complex, right? Wow, that's really, I love that.
Yes, I'm just leaving it out there because that's what I was listening. That's what I was here for. Is that, okay, the times that I kind of like massage it so that you receive it, I'm like, is that because I want you to understand it, or is it because if I give you the big piece and you shoot it down, it's going to discourage me?
Yeah.
That's when I'm apologizing for my vision.
Wonder if it also depends on who you're talking to, right? Like if you're talking to somebody who you know supports you, you probably just like throw it all out there, throw it all out on the table. And the people who are going to, like, I know for me, my mom, I love my mom, but my mom is super conservative, and she, I would do that with my mom. I would just like deliver things slowly but surely, like a drip, drip it out.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's so fascinating. I love this question.
Yeah, I think so. I'd be saying I think people need time to digest, especially when it's such an overreaching concept. Well, an overreaching concept. What do you like? Overreaching to who? Like
Yeah.
overreaching in what way?
Yeah.
Right? Like those are the things. Like, and this is high over. Overthinkers Anonymous guy coming over, right? Like totally exposed right now. That's the thing where I'm like, okay, am I bold enough to put my vision out there? I mean, there's those elements of being wise in who you give it to, because some people are going to shoot it down, some people are going to steal it. I'm not really afraid of that, but I mean, some people conceptually, those things are concerns. But just within me, that sense of apologizing for that vision, putting something out there in a gentle way because I'm afraid of how they're going to respond to it. That is the one piece that I'm like, be bold with it. Like, put it out there in confidence when it's time to put it out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the other thing too is there's also this group of people that aren't, how do you put it? That aren't necessarily cheering you on or anyone on.
For sure.
They've got their own issues going on in life, and they don't like to see things that are outside of the norm or that are going to rock the boat or change things in a way that make them feel uncomfortable, right?
Right, exactly. And because they don't walk in that confidence, they're quick to stifle someone else who has a boldness to the way that they present.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when Jamie Isaac says, "I'm out here for world peace,"
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then he explains it, and you're like, yes. But then when you start that out, you're like,
well, at first I was just like, what are you talking about? What do you mean world peace?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, so I liked that concept of just like apologizing for your vision. The converse of that, just like having boldness with your vision when it's time to share it, and not being afraid of other people's opinion of your vision.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not fueled by the opinions of others.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah. And their opinion of whether or not it's possible, right? Because people are always going to say, well, that's not possible,
Right. Yeah.
Oh, so you touch it. It's really important that you surround yourself with the right people in this lifetime.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, your big dreams will start getting sidelined or getting modified or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I love his vision. I don't even know who your guest was yesterday. I feel like I need to follow him now.
You do. I'll put it here in the chat. I'll put it in the chat. He's such a good dude. Like, just big fan. Man. So Kathy, we're talking about Jamie Isaac here. Some interesting spelling of his last name too. It's Isaac. So it's not two S's, it's two A's.
Okay. Awesome.
And so the topic was iron sharpens iron. So that's exactly what I was getting to, is the sense of who are you surrounding yourself with? Are you surrounded with people who are, like iron sharpening iron, like just as tough, just as determined, on that same page, is going to make you better by how solid they are, right? So it's not the times you're pouring in or times people pouring into you. Those things are all good and fine, but like the actual, like, okay, we're doing this. I see you. Let's get it. That was great. And he and I almost have like this unwritten code of that's what we're doing. I see him put something out there. I was like, hey, challenge accepted. I'm going to do that. That's a good point. I do need to get back to that. Like,
yeah,
there's a post I put about being discouraged and being kind of burnt out or being discouraged by what's happening in media. It's like returning to your body. Go back to movement, like finding life in movement. And just like stop and just get a workout in today. And he put a
Yeah.
workout up, and he was like, I was inspired by blah, 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 blah. So it's like, I think when I'm speaking to something out of my lived experience and it resonates so strong that you decide to put a post out on that same thing, it's like, okay, it's one thing to do, it's another thing to feel like, okay, if I put it up, maybe that's going to be an inspiration for the next person,
Yeah.
and also cheer on that last person.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So
You broaden that message, right? It's just like, it just exponentially, you know, it's spreading that message. And
yeah, absolutely.
And
So
you
yeah,
know what? I love those posts, you know, where they really just make you stop and think, and, you know, they really change the course of a day or a week or a month or everything, right? Those posts,
yeah,
some of those posts are just so, and you never know when you're going to land on them. It's always just like a pleasant surprise, isn't it?
yes, yes, it is. So yeah, so I mean, so yeah, that was good, and I'm glad to hear that you're taking some time, you're unplugging and just enjoying your garden and enjoying your IRL people in real life people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that more of us need to do that.
Yeah. Well, next week I have my 3-hour call, and so everything's going to change. So I've got to
Right.
I've got to kind of mentally prepare for it because I know it's going to be challenging. She's going to be like asking me a lot about my business and what I want to be doing and what I want to be aiming for. And so
Yes.
I think I'm just like enjoying this quiet right now before the storm, and then hopefully smooth sailing for a little while.
Yeah, exactly.
Things to share.
At least focus sailing, if not smooth sailing, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be smooth. It doesn't have to be smooth. It just has to. But I think the goal for us is for our meeting is that we're going to just establish a path, you know, and a message, and the messaging around the messages.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's key.
Yeah.
What's happening with your podcast?
So I'm also taking a little break from my podcast.
Okay. Matters of Movement, everybody.
Yeah, Matters of Movement. Yeah. My last guest was Mickey Havard. So we
was she on it?
Yeah, we had
Nice.
We talked about her Pilates for Everybody book.
Her book. Yeah.
And so that was a nice chat. She was wonderful. She was so fun to chat with. So I kind of got inspired the other day. I saw somebody I wanted to interview, so I reached out. So I'm waiting to hear back from them and see if something sparks up a little, you know, something. I'm hoping that maybe from here on out, I might do like little stints. I might do like a little like a series of 4 episodes, and then take a little break and do another.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a good way of doing it. Like those breaks are key. Much like Yeah. But yeah, those are great. I'm sure Mickey, I'll definitely listen to that because like her book is great. She has a great story of how she has kind of navigated movement too, right? So
yeah, and she's also been doing the online thing way before everyone else started doing the online thing. So that was also really interesting to learn about.
Yep, exactly. And her why too, right? Like the way that she got into it is so different. I mean, we got to get going, but just on a complete side note, really quickly, it's always fascinating when you hear how one person can have like a strategic business plan, and you're knocking those things, and another person could just be like, I just want to stay home with my kids. And it turns into like this massive business, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, how does that work, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
It's all good. Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
You know what? Thanks for asking how I'm doing. It felt good to kind of get that off my chest. Yeah.
Good. Well, I hope your plumbing stuff gets sorted out.
Oh yeah, it's good. My wife's here in the chat too. Like it was quite the challenge for us.
We have to get you both at the farm because our baby goats are going to be born at the end of the summer. So we'll have to get Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, my stepdaughter will be all over that.
Yes.
So,
come. Yeah. We'll let you know when they're born.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. Thanks again.
Right. Okay,
all
bye.
Right, thanks. How is it that don't you love how we can have these deep conversations and we can just have these like catch up with a friend kind of conversations? Um, it is all good. How's it going, Carissa? And Phil Griffin. All right, party people. So we're back at it tomorrow. Another Core Conversations, as always, 10 o'clock on Friday. Really appreciate all of you jumping in. Find those people that inspire you. Find those things that are just push you to the next level and unapologetically chase after that. I really feel that's been kind of one of those takeaways from today. If you have not got a chance to check out Kathy Ross Nash's app, her fitness app called KRN app, please check that out. I just signed up for it and I am enjoying it. Having some pretty cool workouts. At my city, what's going on? If you can, love to hear more about what you do, please follow me afterwards or just send a request and we'll have a chat. And other than that, we are back at it tomorrow. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day, and we are